Hi everyone! So today I'm going to go over my 2018 beauty bucket list. So I had 8 different things that I wanted to try and improve upon for 2018, and it has been quite a year. So I thought that I would take a few moments and go over all of those 8 things and what I learned along the way. So the first thing I wanted to improve on was my eyebrows. This was my number one for a reason. I was really struggling really hard, and I still struggle quite a bit, but I feel like I'm in a much better brow place. I am a lot happier with the way that my brows look than I was this time last year, and to me that's a big improvement. I figured out some products that work well for me. I figured out some things that I needed to do to change to make my brows look the way I wanted them to look, which is what it's about. I know there's some people who probably still think I have fairly awful eyebrows, and that's fine because they're my eyebrows and they're not yours. So I just was really working on what I wanted, not what other people wanted me to have. So I did end up shaving off the tails of my eyebrows at one point. They've grown back slightly, but I still kind of shave off a little bit on the ends, and I do use these little wax strips to kind of clean up the edges a little bit, but I don't do anything else to my eyebrows. I haven't had them done professionally, which is something I was considering doing, but the more research I did into it, the more expensive it was, and I just wasn't happy with some of the before and after pictures I saw on some websites around here, so I just decided to save my money and just experiment with some products. So alongside the experimentation in terms of shaving parts of my brows off, I also started to comb up my brows, and then I would actually just use tiny little scissors and cut some of my brow hair, because I have really long brow hair, but they're very sparse. So it was growing in weird spots where I didn't like it, and then the brows were really long, so then when I was trying to shape them, it just didn't look right. So I've been just brushing them up like with a spoolie and then trimming so that they're shorter, so that it's a little bit easier for me to fill in and just to get the effect that I want from my eyebrow. I use quite a few products, although, well, actually I don't think it's quite a few products. It's a few strategic products. I use brow pomade. In my case, I really like the Anastasia Dip Brow. This really grips to my brow hair and to the little gaps that I have, and when I have no hair at the end, the Dip Brow helps a lot. But then this thing really changed a lot for me. This is from Makeup Forever. It's the brow liner. So this is an intense brow definer. So I have seen people use this like to draw really fine hair at the front, but for me, I find that this is too thick for that, but it's perfect when I have shaved off the tails of my brows and I really need to like draw it on a little bit, or wherever I'm drawing it on, if I'm going more straight or more arched or whatever I'm doing. And then I clean it all up with concealer, and this has been my favorite thing, the Too Faced Born This Way concealer, and this is my very well used and loved and currently concealer filled brush from Makeup Forever. This is a number 172, and it's just an angled brush, but I use it to clean up around my brows, specifically the ends, because that's the problem I had the most with it. That's just where they looked crazy and unruly, and so I will always, well, pretty much always, even if it's just day to day, I clean up at least that part of my brow that I've really shaped. Then I will use a brow pencil and a brow gel. So right now, the one I'm using is from Urban Decay. I like it because it's fairly tiny. It's micro fine. So I like that it's a tiny little thing. I don't use it very often. Sometimes I still have like a little bit of sparseness up around the arch. And sometimes I will draw a tiny bit in the front if I'm going for sort of more of a gradient. And then I will use brow gel. I was using one for Makeup Forever. A lot of Makeup Forever stuff. And then my sister passed this on to me. This is from Tom Ford Fiber Brow Gel. This stuff's amazing. This has become my new favorite thing. I hate that it's Tom Ford because I'm sure it costs a lot, but it's so good. It really makes my brows look fuller, which is a big problem I have because like I have like small little brows. I love the way that natural full looking brows look, but my brows never look like that. Even trying to get them to grow, they just grow a lot at the ends. And it's just like a big mess clump on the corners and then nothing else. So anyway, I feel like this has been the best method for me in terms of my brows. obviously still figuring things out, but I am often really happy with the way that my brows look lately. A lot happier than I was, and I personally feel really good about it. The second thing I wanted to improve upon was winged eyeliner. And after a lot of practice, and I mean a lot of practice, I was using gel liner, pot liners, I was using liquid liners, pencil liners, trying to use it with eyeshadow, just trying to figure out like what kind of shape I was going to use, what kind of brushes, what sort of tools, what did I need to make winged eyeliner work for me. I was practicing so much. Sometimes I would set aside a little bit of time and I would be like, let's try something, and remove it and try something, until the corner of my eye was literally bleeding from trying to practice this so much. And I just came to the realization that it just does not suit me. Winged eyeliner is never going to be a day-to-day thing for me. It just does not work for the way that my eyes are shaped, for the way that I like to do my makeup. It's not into the winged liner. It just doesn't work for me, and that's fine. So I really thought it was a me thing, like I just couldn't get it to work, but everything I tried, it just, it wasn't working with the creases in my eyes, the narrowness of my eye space, just the kind of looks that I like to do. Just winged liner was never very flattering for me, so I've pretty much given up on the winged liner. I will still try it out from time to time, and it looks okay when I have a big pair of lashes on, because especially the lashes that are winged, I can kind of help the winged liner follow the lashes, and that works. But just like everyday winged liner, I don't know how some people do it and look amazing, but different face shapes, right? So the third thing I wanted to improve upon was cut creases, and I really think I have been able to improve quite a bit over the last year. I've done quite a few colorful, crazy cut crease looks. Half cut creases, full cut creases don't really work with my eye shape either. I have really small eye space, as I've mentioned many times, and it is what it is. But the half cut creases, I've really figured that out, what works for me when it comes to where to apply product, and I really like using like the glitter liner, and I feel like I can do quite a bit with that, and it's been a lot of practice, and I'm happy with it. I haven't done a whole lot of those kind of looks recently because I've just been feeling more kind of boring and safe makeup. I know, I've been into a whole different thing. I've definitely changed a lot, but it's still a lot of fun to experiment and play with makeup, and that's the most fun for me. And I love seeing other people experiment with makeup. It's not about trying to like look the prettiest for me, it's about having the most fun. Like the makeup that impresses me the most is the makeup that people do without caring what anybody else thinks, and that's what's so much fun for me. The fourth thing for me was discovering more flattering eye shapes. There really are only so many. They're just, a lot of times I will round out my eyeshadow or I make it really sharp. And there's not a whole lot else you can do. You can blow it out a little bit more. Sometimes I bring the lower lash line down a little bit so things don't connect. So it's kind of like just a little bit different. But I feel like there are just limitations when it comes to eyeshadow shapes with what you can do. Like after trying a lot of different things, I just was like, okay, certain things I really like, certain things don't work for me. I've been gravitating more towards either a really blown out eye or something really rounded. That's been more my day-to-day stuff. And I have been a little bit bored by it, which is why I will go a little experimental sometimes, but it wouldn't necessarily say that it's flattering. It's just fun. The fifth thing was glitter application and precision. And this has been really hard for me because when I start applying glitter, I just want to keep doing more and more and more. It takes a lot of restraint for me to do like a single star underneath my eye. I put one on there, I'm like, why not 7 or 10 or 27 or 200? Like I just can't stop. I just can't stop with the glitter. So it's been a year of practicing precision and practicing restraint. So if I just put a little bit of glitter in my inner corner, it doesn't mean I have to put glitter in my eyebrows and glitter on top of my lips and glitter on my cheeks and down my neck, and like it just keeps going. It keeps going because it's so easy for me to go overboard with it. And sometimes I do like to go overboard with it. Sometimes it's just fun to be like, how much glitter can I put on my face at one time? And sometimes just one little accent piece of glitter is enough. And I've been able to incorporate that into some of my work makeup as well, which is kind of the last thing I'll talk about, like the quick work makeup looks. But it's been good for me to work on that. There's certain things that I still just can't get quite right, like loose glitter and glitter adhesive and a fine little like liner brush. I just find that to be such a hassle when I can just use the Urban Decay 24/7 liners, and it works so much easier for certain things. But for other things, the loose glitter and like larger pieces of glitter like the stars and the hearts make for really pretty simple looks. Like it's just a little something. The next thing for me is cream contour, and I've actually been practicing quite a bit, and I actually really like cream contour. I like it more for a natural makeup or for a building block. And I find with natural makeup, it takes me a lot longer because I'm really working on like specific sections of my face and trying to make it look like I'm not wearing makeup. I woke up like this, and it takes so much longer than like really dramatic makeup. But I also really like it as a base because it's a really good foundation to have that cream contour and then build more dramatic contour on top. It especially works well for filming and for photos, and that's where I've been practicing it the most, and I really like it. I incorporate it quite a bit because it's good, and I feel like it ends up looking very flattering and that my base makeup looks good when I take the time to execute it properly. Sometimes I don't spend enough time, and sometimes I'll look back later at like my film footage and stuff and I'll be like, oh man, that was bad. That was bad. But then I think, well, I put that makeup on my face in half an hour or, you know, 20 minutes or whatever it is. It's hard to know how long somebody spent on makeup sometimes, and it's like, is that the best that they could do? And most of the times, like the makeup I do, even for on camera, it might be a lot more dramatic and detailed than my everyday life, but it's still nowhere near what I could actually do if I spent the time to do it. I just don't. I just don't. If I had more time to spend on it, maybe I would. That's the thing too. It's kind of a balance. Like I could spend 3 hours on my makeup but then be too tired to film because I'd probably finish my makeup by like 11 o'clock or midnight. Or I could spend half an hour on my makeup and have 2 hours for filming or whatever else needs to get done. It's also why I don't like filming the looks that I do, especially the things that do take longer, because I can never replicate it because I'm fighting against my camera. I've mentioned this so many times. My camera kills itself at half an hour and then I have to start it again, and usually at around 45 minutes it overheats and turns off. And trying to do a more complicated, intricate look in that short period of time is really, really difficult. And that's why I'm not a tutorial channel and never will be. I am just a makeup enthusiast. The next thing is lipstick application. This is probably going to be number one on my list for 2019 because I still suck when it comes to lipstick application. I'm pretty lazy about it. I could use like lip brushes and concealer and like clean up the lip line and all this stuff, and I just don't most of the time. Some lip products are a lot easier than others. I find myself gravitating more towards lip liners and lip gloss because it's a lot harder to mess that up than it is with a darker lipstick, where sometimes it's just like, yep, this is good enough. This is as good as it's going to get. And I mean, I don't really know how else I could improve lipstick application except for taking that time to like lip brush, clean up with concealer or makeup remover or foundation or whatever. I don't know what else I could do to make it look better because I don't think I have great lips, and sometimes there's a comparison to other people. I have thought about getting my lips done many times. I still might. It's still on the table. I just haven't done it because of the money involved. But I think that might help some of the issues I have in terms of the unevenness of my lips. I actually get comments on my lips from time to time where people are like, oh, I'm so glad your lips are uneven. I'm so glad your lipstick doesn't look perfect. And it makes me really more self-conscious about it, where I'm like, oh my god, okay, what can I do to fix this? And even though the people are like, oh, I'm glad you don't have lip fillers, I'm like, now I kind of want them. It's funny how it works, right? But even without YouTube, I think I still want it for me. Like, it's one of those things that I was thinking a lot about, like, what would I do with my makeup routine if I wasn't doing YouTube? What would I do with, like, the way that I look without YouTube? Trying to not think about the negative things people have said, and that's been something that's just been an issue of my own, that it's something that I would want to improve on for my own sake. And the last thing is quick but pretty full face looks for work. And I've actually been able to really get this down pretty good in a half an hour time. Very simple. Things change from time to time. Certain products change, but the general base is the same. Not just the base makeup, like my foundation, but there's a general way I do my makeup pretty much stays the same. I don't use false lashes, like maybe once or twice. I will use them here or there if I'm feeling it, but generally I don't. And I just make sure that I have the key products I need and like what do I need the most. So normally I focus more on my eyebrows and my base makeup and keep my eye makeup fairly minimal. Like lately I've been using the Naked 3 palette the most because pink and gray, and I've been doing a lot of pink and grays with like a little bit of glitter and some black liner and mascara, and sometimes a little glitter accent like the heart or the star underneath the eye, or a little bit of glitter in the inner corner. And it's usually just enough that I feel good about my makeup and I feel, you know, happy about it, but it's easy to maintain and I don't have to worry about stuff messing up all over my face. And I usually keep my lipstick to neutral colors, like really pale neutrals for myself, and glosses and liners. And it's been a pretty good, easy to do makeup for the last year. Having the Mario palette as my pan-up palette was a really big help for that. And just keeping stuff very minimal, not worrying too much about having too much product, and focusing on the things that I wanted to focus on, and even, you know, more blush stuff, and just, you know, focusing on different things instead of my eye makeup, which has worked really well in my favor, to have this sort of like a pretty makeup without it being boring makeup. You know, I still call it boring, but I usually try and incorporate at least one little thing that makes it a little bit interesting and a little bit more self-expression. So I feel like I've done really well. I feel like I've definitely come a long way over the last year. I've noticed a lot of improvements in my makeup when I look at like the videos I did this time last year and I look at stuff now, and I'm like, I've definitely made improvements. I've definitely moved forward instead of stayed at the same place or even moved backwards, which can happen. Something I was concerned about because I wasn't practicing as much, or I felt like I wasn't practicing as much. But I feel like I just have a little bit more confidence, a little bit more experience in the stuff that I do, so I feel good about it. But there's always room to improve. There's always things that can be improved upon. So I would like to do a 2019 bucket list, and I'd like to open it up to you guys, and I would love to hear from you. If there's something you're thinking about or have thought about at any time, we're like, oh, I wish she would try this, or I wish she would do this differently, or maybe she should try this or that. I'm looking more at it as a bucket list of things to play around with and experiment with, not necessarily just specific things to change. Like with my eyebrows, I knew I wanted to change them and I wanted to figure out something that worked better for me. But I'm just looking for feedback from people on stuff you think that I could try, stuff that maybe I don't do or used to do or whatever. So if you have any thoughts, if you have any opinions, this is your time to share them with me, please, and thank you. And I would really love to hear your thoughts and your perspective. And it's so interesting to hear from other people and get a different idea of how people see you. It's hard to view yourself objectively. So my ears are open. I am waiting to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out with me today. I really, really appreciate it, and I hope we get a chance to chat soon. Bye for now.